Good morning. I tried a different camera angle yesterday. It did not work. I think this is going to be the one. And that's just fine. Yeah. Just laying on some clay-like. This stuff is so good. I just keep coming back to it. They don't even sell it at Sephora anymore. So we'll be going there for it. It's so good. It's like the perfect coverage, I'd say, concealer for like bluish facial hair and stuff. Okay. There's so much of it in the bottle. It's awesome. They give you like 0.3 milliliters instead of everybody else's 0.29 or whatever. 0.33 maybe even. Very good. So I've been using Godot for about 3 years now, which is about how long I've been working on Quiver Coral. It started out as a game called Arrow Knights for Mini Jam, which is like, I don't know if you know what game jams are, so I'm just going to say what game jams are for those of us in the audience who have no idea what I'm talking about. So game jam is like a little, you get a certain amount of time and you make a whole video game. And I did a game jam. Where they called Arrow Knights. And the task was, well, the game jam wasn't called Arrow Knights. It was called Mini Jam, and they have them pretty regularly. So if you're interested, they have a Discord for it and everything. And they do a really good job. There's a great community there, really good people. A wealth of help. A lot of people with ideas, people looking for team members, so you don't have to do everything all by yourself. If you're not a lunatic like I am. And I've done several of them. I did one, I made an NES game in NES Maker, which was really cool. That game was called Et 2. That was set in like ancient Greece, I think was the theme. And then the challenge was, there's always a challenge too. So there's a theme and then a challenge. You don't have to follow the theme, but I like to because it's like an extra layer of complication. But then the challenge, I don't remember what the challenge was for it too. But for Arrow Knights, it was like controlling multiple people or controlling multiple characters or things at the same time. And I was immediately, my brain went to, okay, well, what if I have 5 archers and I have to control them all? And I like, in some ways, my brain was like, oh, RTS. And then I thought, well, I only have a weekend to do all of this. So it'd be better to do something that can kind of, I can really quickly sneak something out, because you do have to think about the timeline of stuff. In a whole real-time strategy game, there's a lot of systems that you have to code for something like that, unless you use a pre-made engine. But I don't do that because part of the mini jam is like I'm learning a brand new thing. Just a second. Yeah, so I started this game with this idea in my head. I was going to control multiple little people. And, I don't know. It's just like, I enjoyed making that game in particular. Like, I've done some weird sort of genre blending. I created a pinball game. I don't think this one is available. This was a one. It took me a really long time to get this one correct the way I wanted it to be. But it was like a pinball game, but you also shot, like, it had like guns and stuff. So you shot robots that were trying to attack you. And it was like a pinball twin stick shooter in a way. That was okay. And yeah, that was cool. 2 was a top-down kind of Zelda style game where you're walking around fighting lions and knights. And there's some exploration components. I like built a whole world map, which was my favorite part of that game. Even though I don't like level design, I did like that. So I guess it depends. I don't like the level design aspect of like trying to figure out like how to make each moment matter to the player. I have this obsession, especially with Quiver Quarrel, where like every single moment that happens is like an important moment. I don't want there to be like a bunch of space where you're just walking through a room shooting monsters. And those moments are okay, but like to me a game is memorable when like I go back and I play it again later and I'm like, I remember all of this, like every single bit. It doesn't feel like filler when it's like that. There's not a moment where you're like, well, they could have cut this out and made it a shorter game and it still would have been just as good. Like, if you can say that, then I don't know. Why didn't they just do that? Why do games have to be 40 hours long? Why not make a game that takes 20 minutes to complete, but you can play it again and again and again? I mean, that's what Tetris is. Some of the best games that have ever been created have been like that. So that's one of my design philosophies. Blending in my other mirror. All right. So a little yellow, huh? Hair removal appointment coming up. I can't wait. I'm so close. My face is so close. These makeup sessions are going to be so much shorter soon. No more 20-minute talking. I mean, I'm still pretty far out from that, but that's better. Okay. That's good. Only I will notice. So, traces. Too many traces. So, I made this game, Arrow Knights, and it was just this little mini game. Had 10 levels. I think you can still play it on itch. And I've thought about like sneaking it into Quiver Quarrel like game designers do, where they put the original version of the game like hidden in the game, the final version of the game. I know Celeste did that, where you could like find old machine that has the Pico 8 version of the game in it. Yeah. But it has 10 levels, and you're just, most of the game is, the point of the game is to kill the snakes. And the funny thing is that now, like the final version of the game, I kind of want players to be able to play the whole game without killing anything. Like, I have this deep, strong desire to make a game where people aren't compelled to kill anything. To live in a reality where people aren't compelled to kill anything. Like, there's just no reason to. There's no need to. Why do we have to kill things? How is that? The thesis of enjoyment is the death of something else. But I'm making Quarrel anyway, and I'm adding boss fights and more monsters to kill, and enchilada. And I don't feel like I'm gonna be doing anything like that again after this game is done, because that's just, I'm changing my perspective on everything. I think we live in a time where there's probably more violence than there should be, and while I don't think the video games contribute to violence, I think that that's a stupid bullshit claim. And I do not mind video game violence. I've played my fair share of Super Mario Brothers, Smashing a Goomba. Just kidding. I played my fair share of Doom. And I enjoyed Doom. And I've played all the war games. And what have I played recently? Dark Souls. I played all of that. I like fighting in games where it's like an ethical question. I recently played Metroid 2 for the Game Boy. That was a lot of fun. Oh gosh, that game was fun. You ever like play a game with somebody else and you're like hanging out and just like enjoying each other's company, and like your enjoyment of the game is like affected by your enjoyment of the other person? That's games for me. Like, I used to be like a solo gamer, but there's like a social aspect to it that I really love. I look really dark colored today. I'm okay with that. Let's just lighten it up just a little bit. There's a little lightness along the top here. But when I released the game, it actually did pretty well on the mini jam, because the end of each mini jam has like a voting round, kind of, where people can judge you, like the gameplay, is it good? The sound, is it good? Is the music good? The graphics nice? And so you can kind of like get a rating, and then there's like best overall game. And you get a rating on all these things, and then you can find out how you compared to your peers, which is a really cool way of doing it. And I did pretty well that time. I have yet to do as well with any game that I've designed as I did in Quarrel. That seemed to hit a spot for people. Maybe it was just because I did such a good job making the game, because it wasn't super complicated of a game that it was easy for me to just like flesh things out really quickly. I kept doing mini jams after that. That was like one of my first mini jam titles. I had done like one before that on Construct 2, which I will never use Construct 2 again for a lot of reasons. Not least of which being that I tried to get help for it, and because Construct 3 was out, like nobody cared. So it was like I paid for this product that nobody cared about, and I'm not going to subscribe. So I just learned Godot. And so it wasn't like my first game, but it was pretty early on. And like I tried making a few other games after that, like the ones I described, and then I made a few with a friend of mine. But like people kept mentioning Arrow Knights. Like I would get these comments on my itch page from people who would say like, "Oh, I love this game. This game is really fun." And I thought, okay, well, I kind of had fun making it. Why don't I just flesh it out more? Oh, the folly of youth. If only we know the things then that we know now. No, it was not so easy. Never is. And this one especially was kind of... It's a lot of work to solo dev your own game. It's a lot of work to make a game that you feel like is large enough and big enough for somebody else to want to pay for. And then do that all by yourself. When you're doing just about every piece of that puzzle. That's not to say it's not satisfying. Is game dev a satisfying activity? Does this makeup work? Questions I don't have an answer for yet. Till next time.